Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Corona. Although, as you'll know, if you've been watching up until this point, we're not actually cooking with Corona, we are in fact mainly cooking in lockdown. That is, unless of course you're watching this and you're suffering from COVID-19, in which case we're cooking with Corona in both respects of the connotations within that sentence. And we better get a move on actually as well, because now they're starting to ease up on the lockdown rules a little bit. So this may be one of the last recipes I ever do with you. We'll see. This is a chicken dish, and as with the last one, it requires a lot of marinading. So the next time you see me, it'll either be tomorrow in the afternoon, or it'll be much later this evening. I shall be following two recipes, one from Miss Funston, the other from Mr. Stridiron, and one of them suggests using 2 cloves of garlic, the other 6. I shall use 4 by way of negotiation. So I've got the garlics here, I've got an onion, I'm supposed to have allspice but I don't have it. Either recipe calls for chives, so I'm going to use them anyway. There's peppercorn, so let's begin. As I have stated, I don't know how many times, the easiest way to refrain from weeping, if you're susceptible to weeping when peeling onions, is to leave out this stalk at the top when you're cutting it. And then you shall have a fairly dry-eyed experience. Put the onion in here. See that both the chives and the garlic pieces are in there. Here is some ginger, and I shall start scraping that in. Now, I've filled about as much of this as I can with the ginger pieces. I might use my other ginger piece in this. So, here's the mixer. I believe you've seen this trusty gadget by now. And in we go. I'm blending it. Have a look. So then we'll put this inside a mixing bowl. And now I'm going to do it again because this thing really isn't big enough to do it all in one. So, more ginger. And here I have some chilies, 2 medium, 1 hot. I'm going to put that in the blender as well. I don't think I need to chop those because they blend quite easily. And now I need some peppercorns. As you know by now, I keep forgetting to get just peppercorns by themselves, but I've got this little gadget, but they're mixed in with turmeric. I'm going to put that in as well. 3 tablespoons of that then. Use soy sauce, don't seem to have any. I'll use this lovely Leon Perry's Worcestershire sauce instead. Teaspoon of dried thyme. Is call for the juice of 1 lime, but these limes I've got here are quite small, so I'm going to use 2. Squeeze that in then. Tablespoon of brown sugar. Or 2. Half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I think out of all the ingredients I'm supposed to have, I've put them in. There are a few that I've missed. Should have cardamom pops, but don't seem to be able to find any of those. Could put some cumin in, I suppose, instead. Yeah, why not? Yeah, a little bit. Now, mix that then. And 1/4 cup of water. And 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Mix all that in as well. Now for the chicken, you can see I've got 2 corn-fed legs of chicken there and 3 fillets of chicken there. And I'm just going to season them with salt now. Like so. I'll turn them over and do it again. Now I'm going to take this pastry brush and I'm going to paint this jerk paste on to the chicken. Now I've put the rest of it in. I'm going to leave it to marinate in the fridge for, well, I said before, it's either going to be a few hours and I'm going to cook it later today, or I'll do it tomorrow afternoon. We'll see. It's best left overnight. We'll see how hungry I'm feeling. See you later. Ding! Right. Now, the chicken has been in the fridge for the whole night, just as I said. Before I let it out, I'm going to make a start on the rice. Now, I could mix it with ordinary rice and coconut and put these red kidney beans in there. And in fact, that was what I was going to do. That would normally create what's known as rice and peas in the West Indies. However, I've got these bananas here that are really, really off. And in fact, even when there are many speckles on them, I find it difficult to eat them. They were ripe bananas that I used for the banana muffins that I made much earlier in this series. So it's banana rice it will have to be instead. I may make rice and peas on another occasion, but it'll have to be with another dish. So, 1 tablespoon of oil in a saucepan, half a large onion, same method as before, slicing it. Put that in the saucepan. I'm supposed to use a red apple. I'm supposed to use only half of that, really, but to be honest, I don't want it to go brown, so I'm going to use the lot. Just put you here, just in case you have an overwhelming desire to know what a cut-up apple looks like. Dice that. Put that in with the onions and the oil. Cook that until I get some transparency in the onions. Alright, they're reasonably translucent now. Water next. Water next, I think. Maybe a little more. Thus. I think I might add the rest of the onion, actually, now I think about it. So I'm adding more rice than was given in the original guidelines. There we go then. I have to boil those rather than fry them, but still it'll work. Now, I could have sworn that I had some curry powder, but I don't seem to be able to find it anywhere. So what I'm going to do, if I can find it, here's the turmeric and peppercorn. I'm going to put that in. Here we are then, into the water that goes. Because I'm using more apple and onion than would normally be used, I'm going to use 2 rather than 1 cup of rice. 1, 2. See how that's brown rice, by the way. Now I've got this. This was coconut oil once. It's now hard coconut. I'm going to scrape some of that in. Put that in there. I put a little coconut milk in just for fun. Why not? Just a dribble. And now here I have some black treacle. The recipe calls for just a teaspoon because of the small quantity of rice in the recipe I'm following. I'm going to put in a tablespoonful because it's larger. Maybe a little under a tablespoon, you know what I mean. There's some nice treacle then. Maybe I will just need the 1 teaspoon. If I can get that to drop in. See, isn't that lovely? It's what a person more vile than me might have on their porridge. So I'll mix that in. And then drop in a little more. Because of the whole connection with molasses. It kind of adds to the West Indian influence and overtone. I'm going to put the heat down a little bit, leave that to cook, and while it's cooking, chicken. Right, now the heat will be on medium-low. Very well, that's all of them. In it goes. Alright, they've been in the grill for about 10 minutes. I've just turned down the heat on the hob there for the rice. And now, taking this brush, which I would normally use to paint egg white over pastry or something of that nature, I'm going to take what remains of this mixture and paint it onto the chicken. Also you can see here how I've turned over all of them as well, and I can paint over even easier. Heat turned down a little. I'm going to cook for a further 15 minutes. Now we take these rather hideous bananas and we're going to slice them in and put that in with the rice. The thing I will say for bananas of this ripeness is they're much easier to peel. It just slips off very easily. What I'm hoping with bananas of this ripeness is that they'll melt in like butter. Now we stir that in amongst the rice. I'm reminded of, by the way, a little bit of a rice dish I remember reading about in Going Solo by Roald Dahl, when he was in East Africa, specifically Tanganyika, now called Tanzania, and he talked about how the bananas sort of oiled the rice in a way. I'm guessing this West Indian dish is a kind of descendant of dishes like that. The chicken I'm not so sure about. Although having said that, I did once have a Nigerian roommate who used to cook quite spicy dishes. So in one respect I do think that there is something of a link there. I mean, he was a lovely cook, but he obviously had a much higher tolerance of pass a sell-by date things than most, perhaps growing up in poverty and so on, because, you know, the sauce would be encrusted on the stove and you would see meat in the saucepan until it grew fur, and then he'd eat it anyway. It was amazing and disgusting. Bigger health hazard than any of my recipes put together, I would have imagined. Right, I've just tasted a little bit of it and it's very, very sweet. Can't make up my mind whether it's the treacle or the bananas that sweeten it the more, but in any event, you don't need to have it in there for long after you've put the bananas in, because because they're so ripe, it doesn't take very long for them to warm up. What I am going to do is add a little bit more. It says grate some more coconut over it. What I'm going to do instead is put some coconut milk over it. Like so. Just get that out there then. Sorry it's a little burned, not sure why I'm apologising there. It is I who's going to eat it. Now for the chicken. One breast, one leg. Very well. Time for dinner. Even though it is now 5 minutes to 5 in the morning. Never mind. My body clock is completely out of whack anyway because of this lockdown. It's the world's oddest breakfast, second only to the other things I've had for breakfast, such as Guinness cake or curry. Let's try. Unusual kind of rice. You don't usually associate rice with sweetness, but it is. Chicken nicely cooked. The odd thing. The failed recipes that I did, that are in the outtakes of the curry dish, was me cooking a chicken. I've never been good at cooking chicken for some reason. Here I can do it, and I can also fry it, as you can see. Okay, nearly ate a whole chilli there. Right, well, I'd recommend stirring the rice a bit more than I did, to avoid a little burning, such as I had. But really, I think I did a good job. Try it yourself if you like. If you're a vegetarian, like I said, you can just cook the rice by itself. Sorry, that happens to me when I cook chilies. Hiccups. Chilies give me hiccups for some reason. So yes, banana rice if you're vegetarian, jerk chicken if you're a carnivore, and both if you're omnivorous. So, ta-ta! I could mix it with ordinary rice and coconut and put these red kidney beans in there, and in fact, that was what I was going to do. That would normally create what's known as rice and peas in the West Indies. One tablespoon of oil in a saucepan. This is a nice vegetarian dish all by itself for anyone who wants it, and suitable for fruitarians as well, of course. This is a nice dish for vegetarians for anyone. This is a nice dish, by the way, for vegetarians for anyone who wants it and doesn't want to make the chicken. Just a dribble